Time now for our Defending the First series, where we expose the enemies of the First Amendment, free expression, and free thought. Last night, we told you about the shocking facts about the tech giants' war on free speech. And tonight, we look at how to fight back. And the first thing to do is to recognize what you're up against. One tactic the left uses to restrict the free flow of information is by ginning up a propaganda war on so-called fake news. Well, let's bring in reporter Sharyl Attkisson, host of the great Sunday show Full Measure, and the author of the book, The Smear: How Shady Political Operatives Control What You See, What You Think, and How You Vote. And I'm so happy she's with us. I know you were the only person at CBS who was ever nice to me. I say this all the time. We worked at CBS together years ago, and Sharyl, we're delighted you're with us. So this Defending the First series we're doing, I think, is really important because a lot of people out there, they feel like they don't know how to fight back against this. They feel like they're under assault. All these fact checkers that are out there seem to only check facts in a negative way about Republicans. PolitiFact, I know you know them. They say the GOP lies 32% of the time is false. Only Democrats only lie 8% of the time. Are you finding that the fact checkers need a fact checker these days?
Yeah, I mean, I devoted a chapter to looking at this whole idea to shape and control our narratives in many different creative ways, to create what I call an artificial reality online and on the news so that people think things are true that may not be true, or that they're an outlier if they have certain feelings when they may not be. This may be media literacy efforts. It may be called fact-checking. It may be called anti-fake news.
What do you mean media literacy efforts?
Well, I've noticed that some of the people who started out with these fake news efforts, which were really an effort to control information more so than just get rid of fake news, they've now moved on, some of them, to, you know, we're going to start teaching in public schools and requiring this as part of the law to tell you who to believe. And it usually involves them saying, if you read it in the New York Times or the Washington Post, you can believe that. But if you've seen it somewhere else, you need to be wary, ignoring the fact that some of these formerly well-respected news publications have made some of the most egregious errors in the last couple of years. It's not that simple.
We were just doing this segment about whether 16-year-olds should vote. And I think Democrats want 16-year-olds to vote because they're fresh pickings. They're in the midst of the, you know, some would say the propaganda machine, especially in public schools, a lot of private schools. And so they're right in it. They're right in the thick of it, and it all skews Democrat. Let's talk about other fact checkers. There's now a fact checker at Univision, and the statistics at Univision are really bad for Republicans. I guess 95% of fact checks in January 2017 to April of this year, 95% went against Republicans, 0% Democrats, 2% Republicans and Democrats, 3% nonpartisan. That's the Media Research Center. Univision, obviously not a big fan of the president either.
Well, that's why I try to say that when you see these efforts of third parties to curate your information or tell you what to believe or try to curate who's right, that's something to be suspicious of in of itself. It doesn't mean you can't ever get valuable information from them, but that's usually an effort under a different name by an entity that wants to shape the narratives and shape your opinion.
Well, Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, was on television this week and talking about how we need, you know, regulations on Facebook. And I know some conservatives are very frustrated with Facebook, but couldn't that backfire on conservatives and just independent thinkers for the government to say, we're going to regulate? How could that backfire?
Well, anytime the government or a third party gets into the mix, but perhaps especially the government, maybe you agree with them today, but will you agree with them tomorrow? That's why there was a whole philosophy, I guess, when the country was founded, to keep the government out of certain things. Do we really want to invite them and whatever their goals of the day may be to be the ones to decide what we can see and what we should believe and what we can't see?
The tone of the coverage about President Trump. Now, you're going to have this historic meeting with Kim Jong-un. I mean, if President Obama had arranged this, or Bill Clinton, Madeleine Albright, John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, this would be all they're talking about. But it's like it's not even happening. It's really incredible. The tariffs, China's bowing on some of these issues that they'd never moved on before, that would be covered. But it's almost like these substantive issues where Donald Trump's really making a difference for the country, those are inconvenient facts for this media. It's got to be Stormy Daniels. It's got to be Cohen. It's got to be Mueller 24/7. That skews the public's mind as well.
Well, there are two related factors I see behind that. One is the media, some Republicans and some Democrats are all against Donald Trump. He's facing extraordinary opposition. And there's other things at play, but they're all kind of related to that, why I think that happens.
Sharyl Attkisson, thank you so much for joining us, Defending the First.